Today we're going to be taking a look at a crevice garden. So this would also apply to rock gardens or gardens that are more drought tolerant, gardens that you're looking to plant, just maybe short plants that are in drier situations. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and behind me is actually a crevice garden, and I want to show you the different plants that they are using tucked into these spaces. Some of you might have like rock walls that you can tuck little plants into, or you even have those dry, rocky, kind of maybe not the best soil type situations. These plants are all plants that are typically drought tolerant and would do good in full sun. So let's go ahead and take a look at different plants that you could put into a rock or crevice style garden. In this crevice garden, basically what they did is they took just little slabs of cement and kind of placed them strategically to create this garden bed. We are mid-June right now, so the colors you're seeing are representative of flowers that would be blooming mid-June. A lot of the really bright splashes of color are actually coming in the form of ice plant. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these various different ice plants that are in this garden. So ice plant, also known as Delosperma, is hardy in zones 5 to 9, and it's just a very low growing ground cover. This particular one here has kind of like more burnt red color flowers. This is the dancing embers, and you can see how it just kind of meanders its way up and over the various cement blocks that are in this garden. There's a lot of great color in here. Here's the fire spinner, and this one is just a little bit past its prime, but I wanted to talk about fire spinner because it's a great, one of the first Delosperma we carried with great color. Fire spinner has orange, then it goes to magenta, and then a little bit of white. Really beautiful blooms. Now these ice plant will bloom throughout the summer, but definitely they do have their more prolific times to put on their color show. Here we have the razzle dazzle, and just look at it, it's just draping right on over those rocks. These are deer resistant perennial as well. They're only about 3 or so inches tall. Razzle dazzle is a bright magenta, maybe you could see some red in here. And then in the center, you're seeing just that vibrant violet eye. Here's another gorgeous specimen. This is the Delosperma macarena. This is one I'm not even familiar with. This is the first time I've seen this. And this one here is kind of a lot like that dancing embers, just maybe a little bit more orange to it, but really very nice coverage. Neon flame. This one's got really big flowers on it, magenta color. One thing I will say about the ice plant or Delosperma is they do need sunshine to be able to open. So without a lot of sun, they're not going to have the bright colors because the flowers will be closed. So you won't get this display and show of color. This is a Delosperma Pink Radiance, which is a very soft lilac-y pink. So if you're looking for something maybe not quite as vibrant, this is definitely a softer feel and a softer color. I know not all of us are like me who like just vibrant things in the garden. I don't know how anybody couldn't like vibrant, but some of us just have a more softer color palette going on. And obviously there is no right or wrong because we all have the colors we like best in the garden. Here's one, I don't know the name of it because I'm not seeing a tag, but really big flowers, gorgeous bright pink blooms. Some more of a lighter, softer kind of lilac color. And we're going to come around and we're going to talk about these other plants, but I wanted to first just give you a visual of all of the different various colors of the ice plant planted in the garden. This one here is the red mountain flame. So that's going to be probably the lowest growing of the flowering plants right now in the garden. You'll also see there's a lot of hen and chicks in here, and these hen and chicks don't necessarily have the name tags by them either, but I did want to point out that hen and chicks are also another great low growing plant that you can tuck into little spaces and little cracks in the garden. This one here is Sempervivum Black. We have a huge collection of hen and chicks called Chick Charms, and there's so many gorgeous vibrant colors in that collection. Here's Armeria, and you can see that Armeria is past its prime right now. This is called Bloodstone, but it had beautiful magenta blooms on it earlier in the season. I'm going to actually put up a picture of the Armeria when it's more in full bloom. What you would do with this after it's done flowering is give it a light trim, and then you should see some rebloom going on, although you wouldn't see as much as we're seeing here currently. Dicentra pink diamonds. Now this is kind of an unusual one for a rock garden, because typically you would think Dicentra is a perennial that you would be planting in a shade garden. But pink diamonds actually is a Dicentra that loves to be planted in full sun. It's got beautiful kind of a grayish, bluish green foliage, kind of a fern-like foliage, and you can see all those beautiful pink blooms. This, in fact, is one of the longest blooming perennials in this garden. It starts blooming in May and will be in color until the first frost here in Michigan. So if you're looking for a hard-working, long-blooming perennial, this Dicentra pink diamonds is definitely that. It also comes in white. There's a new variety called white diamonds. So if you want to add some various colors of the Dicentra in, you now have some options. There's some creeping phlox in here, which was blooming well earlier in the season. And you can see when it's done blooming, it just kind of looks like a grassy mat of color. This is a fun, low-growing, super low-growing perennial. This is a creeping thyme. Look at that gorgeous purple. This is also part of a steppables program. So if you have a space in your garden that you need to step on occasion, this would be a plant you could plant, and it will take some light foot traffic. This plant is a pollinator magnet, just loaded with bees, and it creeps its way around, fills in the gaps in the spaces. If you have rocks in your garden, it'll make its way around the rock and just add just a gorgeous mat, and literally a mat of color. Make our way to the other side there where we have some of the Dianthus blooming. And it's the paint the town Dianthus. They're a little bit past their prime, so here's one right here. I want to just show you kind of what it looks like as far as habit. There's one a little bit further down that is more in bloom, so we're going to go check that one out to show you. The paint the town Dianthus I love because they're re-blooming. So here we have one. They are hardy in zones 4 to 9, and again, just create little mounds of color. I love them because they're fragrant. They smell like cinnamon in my opinion, and they typically will start blooming in the end of May, beginning of June here in West Michigan, and they'll hold on to their color for about a good month. When the flowers are finished, we give them a light trim, and then they will continue to bloom throughout the summer. The early summer bloom is going to be the most prolific, but to get any plant to rebloom throughout the summer, that is an added bonus. And this comes in some various shades of reds and pinks as well. So depending on what color you like in your garden, there are options available. All right, we see some of the Salvia. This particular one is Bumbleberry Salvia. This is a lot like the Profusion series. This is low growing, only about 18 inches tall. And this is a nice kickoff to summer plant. Comes in various color options. This is another great pollinator plant. And once it's done flowering, you can give it a light trim and it will be blooming again within just a few short weeks. I like to use Salvia because I'll take several different colors and just poke them into the garden because they have that nice mounding, filling feel to them. So if I need some color, I know I can always rely on Salvia to add color to that early season garden. And that's a campanula there hanging out with its bell-shaped flowers. That's actually not a campanula, my bad. That's a coreopsis. I don't know, looks to me like a campanula, but sometimes they tuck some things in here that are not familiar or not in their catalog. So the tag does say that it's a coreopsis, but I don't know which one it is. But I like how those little bell-shaped flowers are definitely dancing in the breeze. That's one thing when you're in trial gardens, is a lot of times you see things that are either trials or they're old plant varieties, or they're just something that the gardener liked and tucked in just for some added interest. Here we have the cat's pajamas Nepeta. And Nepeta are another one of those great landscape plants where you can just tuck them into various spaces. Cat's pajamas only is about 12 to 18 inches tall, and it's just a little bit past its let's say, its first bloom. You can see there's a lot of spent blooms there. Even though the blooms are spent, it still has a lot of cool color. And if this were my garden, I'd come through, give it a trim. And again, we'd have it blooming in about 3 weeks or so after that trim happens. The thing I like about Cat's Pajamas is it's very compact, and it's one of the Nepeta varieties that rarely has an issue with splitting open. So here you can see all the beautiful color and different things that you could do if you have a rock or crevice garden in your landscape. Plants you can plant to have just beautiful masses of color. If you have any questions or comments on any of the plants in these gardens, feel free to leave them in the comments below. We will put a link to some of the varieties where you can head to our website, gardencrossings.com, and get all the information you may be looking for. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.